Growing a startup is tough, right? But growing a startup as a Middle Eastern with all those international barriers sounds almost impossible, right? But today, I'm standing here to prove you it's not impossible. I'm gonna be able to take a startup and I'm gonna raise $2 million before I turn 30. But before we get into how I'm gonna do that, let's get into why I made this decision, why I'm gonna do this. Am I crazy? Yes, of course I'm crazy. I'm not saying I'm not. Show me one founder, one entrepreneur that is not crazy. All of the entrepreneurs and all of the founders, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, all of them are crazy. All of them started with a delusion. I'm starting with a delusion, and I'm gonna turn that delusion into reality. And I'm gonna document the journey. I'm gonna document the entire journey and show you that I can. Of course I'm a Middle Eastern. Of course I do have international barriers, but I'm gonna turn this delusion into reality, and I'm gonna show every single one of you. With that being said, let's go Tiger.
Behind the scenes.
Is more than just an admin function. It's the heart of every company.
So it's like a presentation, right?
It's exactly the presentation of the product.
This is actually the first video that I'm speaking in English, and I'm actually going to post it no matter what. Because previously I recorded some videos that I spoke in English, but I never posted it because I think I was always afraid of, my accent is not really English, like pure English. It has some Persian accent mixed with English accent, and it's not really ideal. My name is Maziar. I moved to UK when I was 26-ish, and now I'm 28. The reason that I moved to UK was to study. I wanted to get my master's. I told you I'm gonna walk you through why I'm gonna do this. The reason is, as far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I do still have that dream of being an entrepreneur. When I go to bed, when I wake up, I go to bed with a dream of being an entrepreneur. When I wake up with the dream of being an entrepreneur. And I'm almost 30. In 2 years, I'll be 30. And I'm terrified of being 30 and not being an entrepreneur and still working in a 9 to 5. So I've got only 2 years. So when I started my 9 to 5, I was in the process of HR and, registering paperwork and stuff. And I realized one thing, that company is not using AI properly. So I had an idea to just automate everything, like simple automation. And now that idea is turned into something bigger, something that can actually interrupt the HR sector. But I spoke to the digital department and I told them that I've got this idea. I think it's brilliant. I think it's gonna revolutionize everything in the company. They just frankly told me that, okay, we're not gonna support this. This company is not going to change everything based on your idea because we're not a private company, we're a public company, and it's no, that's not gonna happen. And I was like, okay, if the company is not going to see the vision that I'm seeing and the value I can create, I'm gonna do it on my own. I'm gonna sell this idea to other companies and I'm gonna do it. I started this startup and I had no idea that how a business actually works. The only thing I knew was the financial markets and charts and prices and stuff. That's it. I had no idea that what is actually going on inside a business. One thing that I learned is that you don't need to know everything to start a startup. You don't have to be aware of all the challenges and all the steps that you need to take. All you need to know is only your next step. What is my next step considering the current situation? That's what I'm focusing on right now. I'm just saying, okay, I need a team. I need someone to build a product. So what's the next step? Okay, I need a software engineer. I need a programmer, someone who knows how to code. I'm gonna tell you everything I learned and I'm gonna document this entire journey. Right, the first thing is idea. If you're a fan of Martin Scorsese like me, you've probably heard this quote that he says, the more personal, the more creative. What does that mean? The more your problem is personal, the more you come up with a creative idea. For example, I'm standing right here and the room is boiling. I'm hot, I'm boiling. So what's the problem? The problem is being hot. What's the solution? The solution is air conditioner. That's how air conditioner is invented. Right. When you get your idea from your personal problems, you build the idea, and then what you gotta do, you got to validate your idea. What does
idea validation mean? Idea validation mean asking the right questions from the people that you think that this idea is going to help them. So when you ask the right question, you will understand that whether this idea is going to help them or this idea is just a delusion in your mind, or this idea was just something that's going to only help you and not other people. Okay, how you validate your idea? By asking the right questions. One of the questions is that, are you willing to pay for this idea? If I build the first product, will you be the first person who buys this product from me? That's one of the thousands of questions you gotta ask. And a very perfect book about idea validation is the MOM test. When you read the MOM test, you're gonna understand that what's the right questions and who is the right people to ask these questions. Right, when you validate your idea, the next thing you gotta do, you got to build the product. Okay, when I say build a product, does that mean that you have to build a perfect product with all the features and polished and beautiful and absolutely without any sort of error? No, that's wrong. When I say you gotta build a product, you got to build the MVP. MVP stands for minimum viable product, the very, very first version of your product. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be marvelous. It doesn't have to include all of the features. It just has to prove the concept. It just has to prove that, okay, this idea, this product is gonna work, and this is the proof of concept. It's not perfect, but we can make it perfect. Okay? Right. When you build the MVP, you got to test your MVP to realize that whether this MVP has a problem, or can you make this MVP, the very first version, better? How you can test your MVP. You can get your first users, 5. The users can be friends, family, your colleagues, your classmates. You can ask them to come and use your product, use your MVP, the minimum viable product, and then tell you that what the problem is, how was their experience, and that's how you can debug your product. You can debug your first version of product. Okay, you test your MVP, then you realize that, okay, I tested my MVP, I know what's the bugs and stuff, I know what's wrong with this MVP, I can fix that MVP, I can fix that problems, and then I can build a startup. When you build a startup, the first thing you need is business plan, then you need a business model, then you need a time frame, then you need a team. Right, for the team, usually team making takes, I don't know, 6 to 1 year to find the right people, find the right person for your team, find the right co-founders for your team. However, I used a shortcut. I had a shortcut. My shortcut was my personal brand. My shortcut was my Instagram page. When I wanted to say software engineer for building the product, I had no idea how to code. I had just this concept in my mind, and I didn't know how to code. I didn't know how to build a product, so I had to find a software engineer to, make them trusting me, and then build a product for me, so we can be a team together. What I did is that I uploaded a story on my Instagram, and less than 1 week, I had a co-founder, a genius software engineer. So that's the power of personal brand. Make sure, before you starting a startup, if you want to make it fast, and if you want to get the results so quickly, you got to be a personal brand. A personal brand means being someone and having a voice. So I built a team in 2 weeks. I found a software engineer, then I found a visual designer, then I found a front-end engineer, and then a back-end engineer. And now I have a team, and I'm not paying a single penny because I made them see the vision I'm seeing. That's what you should do as a leader. As a leader, your only job is to gather all the smart people together and to make them see the vision you are seeing. That's how they can trust the idea, and that's how they can trust you as a leader, because that's really important. You gotta make them trust you. stepped into the room while Google was already there. When you search something in Google, the Google search is going to bombard you with loads of information, and you have to go through all of the pages to find the right information, right? However, when you ask something from ChatGPT, ChatGPT sends you the exact information you're looking for. The exact thing. No more pages, no more, going through pages and stuff. Sends you the exact thing in less than, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. So that's the exact thing that this product does. When I was thinking about, finding a name for this startup, my brother and I were looking for, different names and different syllabus and stuff. And I was just asking myself that, okay, what this business is going to do, how this business is going to help other businesses. And then I realized that, okay, this business, this startup is going to help other companies to elevate their potential by using AI-based, AI-powered products. And so I was like, okay, elevate their potential. How I can find a name out of this slogan. Elevate your potential. Ele stands for elevate, and po stands for potential. So these two next to each other will be Elepo, and I think it's a very easy name to remember, Elepo, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy, and I think it's for a startup, for an early stage startup, it's okay. I don't know, maybe we change it and rebrand it to something else. I'm not sure. As an immigrant, I'm constantly judged and underestimated. When I talk about my dreams, my visions, people always smile and wish me luck. But deep down, I know this is not real. I know they don't really, take it seriously. Taking my visions and ideas seriously. They just say, okay, good luck, wish you the best, I'll take that, thank you. But I know that it's not real. However, despite all of these, I'm going to prove them. I'm going to prove them that I'm serious. Not just with words, with consistency and discipline. I'm gonna prove everything. And I'm gonna document the entire journey as an evidence that I did this. I said that I'm gonna do something and I'm gonna prove that I'm gonna do this. And this is the proof, this is the video. If this video meant something to you, subscribe and like and send me your positive vibes, and let's go through this journey together. If you felt something, if you felt that you've been through the same situation, we can do this together. I don't have to be alone, you can be with me. With that being said, see you in the next one.